Hello my friends, I am the Dungeon Tutor. Today is it, the last day of RPGaDay, the 31st of August, which brings the feel-good question that the entire month has been leading up to. What is your favorite RPG of all time? And unfortunately, I gotta get a bit basic here. I may tell you that I absolutely love GURPS. I do. I love GURPS. I think the system is fantastic. It begs you to get and play it over a long period of time and develop characters and come up with great storylines of anything you can imagine. It's a fantastic game. But I can't claim it's my favorite. Not really. I may absolutely love Howard Taylor's Schlock Mercenaries, and I think the world of his role-playing game, Planet Mercenary, but I haven't played it, and there are some reasons for that, and so I can't really say that's a favorite of mine. I love what I've done with Vampire and Werewolf. Fantastic games. Some cases, some that my players have said this is their favorite one they've ever had. I love them. I absolutely do. I can't say they're my favorites either. I have enjoyed tremendously, and I can't wait to once more play the Warhammer 40k games of Fantasy Flight, Death Watch. Dark Heresy. I love Dark Heresy. Fantastic game. Dark Heresy, maybe even Rogue Trader. I don't know, but somewhere along the lines, I want to play those games again. But they're not my favorite, despite how much I love the world and the universe. Absolutely. I am aching to play Star Wars from Fantasy Flight games. I haven't decided which one, but it's probably going to be in the Age of Rebellion. And I love Star Wars. I've enjoyed playing various Star Wars characters. But every single edition that I've owned so far has not been what I would call my favorite. To me, the favorite is the one that you instantly feel the most comfortable in. The one that you've invested the most of your time in. The one that has captured your imagination like no other over years and years and years. And yeah, I've even created a game. My own game, the Spotlight System. I think the world of it. I think it's going to be a great game if and when I ever get to the point where I want to show other people. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm afraid that it's just going to get swallowed up like so many of the other games that I've got that nobody cares about anymore. I'm afraid of it. I will fight against that, but, you know, it's not my favorite, even though it's mine, and I think you have to be your own greatest fan, but at the risk of being basic, it has to kind of go to Dungeons & Dragons. But I'm not going to limit it to one edition. I've had great experiences through all the editions, except for the original Dungeons & Dragons. And if you want to call the Moldvay and Holmes different editions, then I can't go with that either. But in BECME, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons a lot. 3rd edition, I've had some really good times. I've played 4th edition. That's it. I've run and played it. That's all I'm going to talk about. And 5th edition told some fantastic stories. Absolutely. Stories that will stick in my mind for a long time. I've both run games. I have played more Dungeons & Dragons than anything else. It has left the biggest imprint on my life. I have written an adventure in Dungeons & Dragons that you can buy to this day and influence several others. I have done this. So I think it would be dishonest to myself, at least to a certain extent, if I didn't acknowledge that part of Dungeons & Dragons that's in so much of what I've done. I've learned different styles of play through Dungeons & Dragons. I've memorized huge chunks of Dungeons & Dragons. I have counseled people. I have brought people into role-playing games through Dungeons & Dragons. I've done all of these things. So I will always have a soft spot for Dungeons & Dragons. There's no getting around it. I do love Dungeons & Dragons. So the problem is, this really makes it hard. I am so burned out from Dungeons & Dragons. I don't want to play Dungeons & Dragons anymore. There are so many other games I'd rather play than Dungeons & Dragons. There are so many other games I'd rather run than Dungeons & Dragons right now. But you know what? If I took a month off Just no more gaming. Just video games to keep myself occupied, or maybe a book game or something like that, playing through a solo adventure. And I came back, I would want to run Dungeons and Dragons. It's natural. It's like putting on my favorite shirt. It's already formed itself to my molds, my contours, and yeah, I'd be ready to go at the drop of a hat. I've got at least 6 campaigns in my head right now that I could run right this minute. You pick the edition, I've got a game for you. Absolutely. Just have your characters, and we can run something exciting. I'm already ready. I can't say that for every game. There's a number of games I've got a couple of campaigns in my mind, ready to go. But Dungeons & Dragons is a palette like no other that I've painted amazing portraits with. Those portraits being adventures and campaigns, sometimes really lengthy ones. So, yeah, I have to say, I have to give the devil its due. Dungeons & Dragons is my favorite game by almost every metric, except how I'm feeling right now. And right now, the one that I long to run the most is not my favorite either. I would love to do Invisible Sun. Love to do it. I won't, because I don't have players for that game. You need the right people. That one's going to be a really tricky one to ever pull off. But then it's GURPS. I would love to run GURPS. What I'm not going to do is run GURPS, unfortunately, in the future. I already know what games I'm going to run. I'm going to run the Star Wars Fantasy Flight games for one group, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be awesome. I have another group that the next game we're going to be playing is Rifts. Possibly Savage Worlds Rifts. I really think so, because I really am not a huge fan of the Palladium Games Rifts. But Savage Worlds has got potential. For all the source books that I have, converting will not be difficult. So I'm really kind of looking forward to that. But yeah. Yeah, I have to say Dungeons & Dragons is my favorite game. I've got 2 full shelves up there of Dungeons & Dragons. I've got drawers full of modules and adventures and stuff. I'd be the world's biggest doofus if it wasn't one of my favorites just by what I've collected of it. And it stands the test of time. I could play almost any version and be okay. I'm sure I could slip into DMing any version with just a brief glance at the rules to remind myself of certain things. But yeah, I really can resonate with D&D in a way that I can't with some other games. And other games that I need the experience to draw on to be able to resonate. So yeah, I can run 1st edition and 4th edition Shadowrun. 5th and 6th edition look really exciting with the direction they've gone. So yeah, I'd love to see what Catalyst has done in the 6th world. But am I ready to do that at the drop of a hat? No. Even though I've got a fun little campaign in mind I think my players are really going to enjoy when we get to that point. So anyway, that's my answer to this question. As convoluted as it was and name-checking all these other games that I enjoy, I have to say Dungeons & Dragons is my favorite. I'll let you pick. You can have any one except for 3rd edition, which I find cumbersome at anything higher than, say, 8th level. Not interested in running or playing anything after 8th level. 4th edition, we're not going to talk about this time. I will talk about 4th edition because it was a game, and it wasn't the worst game that some people say that it was. But that's for another time. Thank you all for joining me. I have been doing this now for 31 days. This has been a nice thing that I look forward to. But it has to come to an end at some point. This is that point, and then it behooves me to make more videos, to entertain, to educate, to advise, and that really becomes better, my friends, if you become partners with me. If you comment in my videos and tell me what you want to see, your take on a particular angle that I can sound off against. Maybe you can teach me something. That often happens, that a tutor learns something from their students or from the engagement with their students. I certainly am not opposed to that, and I have changed my mind and my opinions before. I am not claiming that I am the utmost authority on anything, that's for sure. But what I do know is that if you like my video, if you subscribe to my video and notify yourself so you'll see more, I will keep making more things. And hopefully there'll be things that you enjoy. And if you really want me to create the kind of things you'd like to see, all you have to do is ask. I am always at your disposal to be the tutor for whatever game, whatever question you have. I will do the research, I will draw from my own experience, whatever I can do to help you out. Because that's what a good tutor does, and I am the Dungeon Tutor. So, until that next time, my friends, again, I can't thank you enough for joining me for an entire month of RPG a Day. If you've missed some videos, they're all still here. Feel free to go back and check them out on the playlist. But going forward, I hope to see you in more videos. And if I do, I hope between now and then, you, yes you, get a chance to roll some dice, to play some games, to have fun, but to stay safe out there, my friends. Until then, all I can say is, farewell.